from Los Angeles, California. This is What Does Danné Say? And now, your host, Danné Montague-King.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to yet another thrilling episode of What Does Danné Say? And today I'm going to be talking about cellulite. You know, the little funny thing about cellulite, it's a female thing. I don't mean physically, it is that too, but I also mean emotionally. Men are hardwired to not notice it that much, unless some idiot points it out in a magazine about showing a celebrity cellulite. Like, who cares? It's part of being a woman. Men do not get cellulite in the same way because of the hormonal differences, but it doesn't have to be there. There's many, many reasons why cellulite exists. Some are worse than others. We've always, I would say for 56 years, we have been working on the mystery of cellulite. In fact, we have a clinic in Spain, actually, that does nothing but DMK body sculpting treatments. That's it. And the lady that runs it is fully booked all year long. In Spain, women's beauty is a priority. It's part of their social and class and so on and so forth. But we have always gotten results. Let's discuss how it happens. First of all, types of cellulite. Well, there's edematous cellulite that's kind of puffy and, wobbly. Doesn't dimple too much, but it's kind of puffed out. Then there is the peau d'orange cellulite, which is a hard yellowish cellulite that looks kind of like the orange peel effect. And when you pinch the tissue, it hurts, okay? Both of those can be addressed by various modalities between thermogenics and cryotherapy, and we will discuss those. Let's talk about WAT and BAT. What does that mean? Watt and bot. WAT is white adipose tissue, and that's the fat that makes us look fat and unhealthy. BAT is brown adipose tissue, okay? And think of the two as a fireplace and a stack of wood, okay? The fireplace being brown adipose tissue, and the stack of wood being white adipose tissue. Now, if you keep feeding the fireplace, it stays nice and big. The wood burns up and converts to energy. Energy eats up carbohydrates, etc., and you don't gain weight or have too much cellulite unless there's some other toxic situation involving the cellulite. As people get older, the brown adipose tissue organelles get less and less. The fireplace starts to shrink down. Meanwhile, the wood pile gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the person gets more and more cellulite and fatter and fatter and fatter. So we got thermogenics going on one side, and then on the other side we have cryotherapy. We'll talk about how those two modalities determine the outcome of our cellulite and body sculpting treatments. Okay, we want to increase our brown adipose tissue, but let's look at the chart here, anatomy of cellulite. You see on this side, epidermis, dermis, the fat lobes and the fat lobules, the adipocytes, connective tissue, connective fibers, normal deep fat layer, and then of course at the very bottom is muscle. And by the way, just a little anecdote, many years ago, our clinic on Harley Street in London had a client that really liked the DMK facial treatments. She was an aerobics dancer, aerobics teacher, also a gymnast. She didn't like her big hips. She didn't like her big thighs. And so she signed up and paid for several treatments for our body sculpting. Well, after about a couple of months, Suzanne Williams, who ran the clinic at that time, called me and said, Danné, what can I do? This woman wants her money back. She loves the face treatments, but nothing is happening. There's no inch loss whatsoever, no matter how many times we've done the body sculpting. So finally it ended up, I called the woman myself. Back in those days with landlines and that, I did call people. And she was very disappointed. She wasn't mad, but she says, I feel I should get my money back because there is no inch loss at all. We always measure for inch loss, and there is always an inch loss. And we'll talk about how to determine that in a few minutes. So I talked to her about her career, and she said, yes, it's true. I'm a gymnast. I also teach aerobics and do aerobics, etc. I said, you know what? I said, you don't even need body sculpting. It's muscle. You've got a lot of muscle. She said, yes, I do. I said, so you're not going to get a result. This only works on adipose fat cells, not on muscle. So stop working out, stop aerobic dance, stop being a gymnast, and some of that muscle will go down. And she laughs. She says, no, I understand now. That is true. This only works on the adipose fat. Now over here is someone that has cellulite. As you notice here on the anchor points in the epidermis, okay, this gives the hypertrophic condition where it's that dimpled effect. Over here, you see no dimpled effect. Here, you see the dimple effect. And here, down here, the hypertrophic fat layer is full of toxins and all puffed up and huge. And this gives that whole cellulite effect. If we use thermogenics, which is the body sculpting cream, it will actually go in and strike these puffy adipose fat cells. They'll change their shape to a nice smooth shape like this, and the cellulite starts to go down. But at that point, you have a little bit of lost elasticity in skin tissue. I've seen cases where people have had liposuction, young people, and they removed all of their adipose fat. There's one guy that came into our Beverly Hills clinic years ago, very good-looking young Egyptian boy. And he said that he'd heard about our treatments. Could we help him? I said, maybe, but let's have a look. So he took his shirt off, and he'd had massive liposuction, and his skin literally was a flap like an apron. And I said, I'm sorry. You should have come to us first before you've had this done. There's nothing can be done with that. We cannot shrink up that empty, loose tissue. You're going to have a tummy tuck. But I don't want a tummy. I says, look, if you're looking for a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whoever, you really want to confront them with that because you're very good looking. Or just have a tummy tuck. It'll be a little fine pencil thin scar line around the abdomen area and around the back and so on. And then we can work on our scar revision, which will eliminate a lot of the hypertrophic or whatever scar that is going to be there. Hopefully he went off and did that because you can't help people that have had all the adipose tissue removed by liposuction. Many people ask us about why we use, well, saran wrap or cling film, as they say in Europe, or plastic, period. You know, I noticed lately the manufacturing of plastic has gotten really bad. I mean, it's hard to control. It just doesn't work. That's why D&K actually produced our own plastic for wrapping because we wanted a strength and tensor to it that a therapist could easily use. Now, before the treatment starts, you have to measure your client in several places where they have the worst problem. And that's up to them to tell you, and it's also up to you to visually see it. You use a measuring tape, but you mark it on each side with the magic marker right on the skin, because that won't come off that easily. You have to kind of scrub it off. You want to be able to come back exactly to the measurement point that you started out with. Otherwise, they may accuse you of kind of moving the tape around to a better measurement. No. You want to be exact. So you magic marker each side of the tape on the skin. The only place you cannot do body sculpting, and I please, because people have done this, so please listen, is the boobs, the breasts. No. You do not even think about touching the breast. A lot of women do want breast reduction, but it is mostly adipose fat tissue and a few mammary glands. Basically, breasts are a big bag of fat. That's it, okay? And we had a nurse once, again, going back to the UK, that actually did not pay any attention to this and had her breasts wrapped. And one breast had a horrible concavity after the treatment. It took a long, long time to more or less fix itself naturally. And she was horrified. Do not touch the breast. This treatment really does work. Now, the wrapping has to be precise as well. You have to wrap, twist, wrap, twist, wrap, twist. So it's a nice line of twists all down the front or the back. It has to be tight on the skin, but not to cut off circulation. Now, actually what's happening is there a miracle in the plastic. A lot of people in France and other countries have done so-called body sculpting for a long, long time using linen cloths dipped in herbs and all kinds of wrapping things. No, the plastic is there because it has no porosity, right? And so what happens is the thermogenics contained in the body sculpting cream can strike these adipose fat cells, bang, 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 until the hydrolysis takes place and the fat cells start smoothing out and the fat goes down. Now, what about the skin? Okay, going back to the young man from the young Egyptian guy that came to our Beverly Hills clinic with the flap of skin, his was severe, so of course he had to have a tummy tuck surgery. But after they have the body sculpting, waiting a day or two, depends on the sensitivity of skin and tissue, you want to start the body enzyme because you treat the body the same as the face. You want to tighten up and tone that tissue that is kind of a little bit lax because of the removal or the adjustment of the adipose fat cell underneath. So you combine both treatments in one over a period of time, again, looking at reactive skin. Now, some people, not many, but some, and I'm talking 56 years now, are reactive to some of the thermogenic ingredients in the cream, principally cassia. If this happens, or if they fill out their form or the medical chart, and you see several allergies listed, that's when you do an allergy test. Hopefully you all know how to conduct an allergy test. Clean the area, put the product on, put some plastic over it with tape around the edge, look at it for 48 hours, and see what happens. If it's red, that is not an allergy. That's just a reaction of the capillaries in the tissue, and that goes away. In fact, sometimes we want that. What you're looking for in allergies is swollen eyes, itching like crazy, a red rash that doesn't have anything inside like pimples. That's an allergy. And you simply don't do the treatment. Simple as that. We don't want to fool around with people that have severe allergies, no matter what they think they need to have done. All right, moving right along on changes in the body that lead people to think that they're fat or have cellulite. A few years ago, I took Britt Eklund, the Swedish actress. Some of you may remember her. She looks still pretty good. She's the same age as I am. We were comparing things. We went to a big opening of a DMK clinic in Beverly Hills, and we were looking at our hands, and she said, "Oh, you've got spots." And I looked at her. I said, "So do you?" We were going back and forth. But basically, she still looks good. But we were sitting at Spago's. I took her to lunch, and we were talking about body. I was describing to her about our body sculpting treatments, etc. And she still has a great body. That's the body that put her into fame and fortune as a sexy girl back in the 60s when she married Peter Sellers. And she said, "I don't want to end up to be a bug lady." And I go, "What's that, a bug lady?" "Well, you know, with skinny legs and arms and yet thick in the middle and kind of round. I call them bug ladies, and I fight hard doing Pilates and everything else so I don't become a bug lady." Well, actually, her instinct was wise, because it's true. As we age, our bodies start to shrink. The bones start to go down into the hips. The osteo-dowager hump begins to happen, and you're kind of like this. I've seen it with friends. I've seen it with muscle builder friends of mine who lifted weights for years, and now they're in their 80s and like this. And I tower over them. because my whole life I was very cognizant of posture, of keeping the bones separated as much as possible, keeping the muscle tissue around it strong, and standing erect. Another older movie star, but still beautiful, our very own Julie Newmar. She, at 90, is erect and still tall. Most of her life, she was 6 feet tall in the movies and on Broadway, and when she was the star of Batman. To this day, I think maybe an inch shorter than she was when she actually is standing up against the wall. So it's very important. Buy a retraction bench. They're very inexpensive. I have one at home. I'm on it every single morning for 3 minutes only, and every single night only. I have collapsing discs in my neck. An MRI showed this. So I'm on what I call a ProLift. It's a device that I hook over the door jamb, and it comes down like a little strap-on thing. I put it on my head, and it has a pulley with a knob on it, and I ratchet it up, and I sit perfectly straight like that for about 10 minutes. I have a timer going, all right? That's what happens to bodies as we age. So a lot of people think, oh, I've gotten so fat in my waistline. You really didn't. It's just your posture, your skeletal structure, everything else has changed. Does that mean you can't have treatments? Of course you have treatments, but you have to help us out internally with what you do at home. Certainly we can sculpt the flesh part of it down to some degree, but not as much as if your skeletal structure was still strong. Can anybody do this? Yes. What if they're really bad off, really bent over? No, that's unrealistic. And most people that are like that, older women especially, they don't care. They just prefer to be out of pain, mostly. So this kind of thing isn't for them. All right. We have to treat the body holistically. We have to treat it as it actually is. There's no miracle to getting rid of adipose fat in the body. There's no weight loss involved here, by the way. We have to explain to our patients there is absolutely no weight loss at all. But if they have a pair of jeans that they can barely get on, oftentimes after the treatment, they find those jeans just slip right on just fine. So yes, it will handle that. It will not handle actual weight by weight at all. That's up to you. That's up to what you put in your mouth. A lot of people, you know what? A lot of people struggle and try to stay on diets. I prefer to say altered lifestyle of eating, and then they fall off, and then they get back on, and they yo-yo. Somehow these treatments, because the visuals are right away after the measurements, right away, it gives them the encouragement to go on and change their lifestyle, to change the way they eat. It's not rocket science. It's just habit and comfort food and all these other things. So one thing about DMK, in all of our treatments, it works with the science of the actual body itself, what it will do, what it's not doing, and most of it is actually just replacing spare parts when you really think about it. That's all for today. Thank you so much. And remember, knowledge really is power.